got to give an award, a medal or something to Scott Jennings over at CNN. He filled in for me one day. I'm a little worried because he's good. You know, if I'm not careful, he'll come right in here and scoop the show away from me. You know that the old adage, you're not supposed to have a guest host who's any better than you are. Now, he did admit after the show, Mike, you do this for hours a day, 5 days a week. Are you kidding me? Yeah. But he's a force of nature over there at CNN. You know, Trump is suing media outlets. Now he's suing the Des Moines Register over that bogus Ann Seltzer poll. And everybody knew the poll was bogus. Everybody knew it was a joke. Everybody knew, frankly, that it was designed to impact the outcome of the election. Yeah, Kamala was going to win Iowa by 3 points, sure. And Ann Seltzer is the gold standard of pollsters. Oh, she's the best in the business. Trump took Iowa by 17 points. So he's saying, look, we're not going to put up with election interference. So he's suing these various media outlets. He sued ABC. ABC said, yep, you got us. We're wrong. $16 million, Mr. President. We'll give you a $15 million contribution to your presidential library, and we'll make George Stephanopoulos pay $1 million out of his own money to cover your legal fees. Incidentally, Stephanopoulos is reportedly livid at ABC's agreement. He's humiliated. He canceled his X account. He deleted his X account. He had over 2 million followers. Do you know how valuable that is? To have over 2 million followers? And he threw a temper tantrum, and he immediately deleted his X account after the settlement this past weekend, which is hysterical. I love that. I love that so much. So let me share with you what Scott Jennings said last night on the panel to make them go crazy. They're all yelling at him. I mean, he's like the Christian facing the lions in the Roman Colosseum. Scott Jennings is in the Colosseum, surrounded by the lions of CNN, making their heads explode.
Do you think it should be easier? You believe it should be easier?
No, I think that media has to do their job. They have to actually, they need to get the facts right.
Wait a second.
We were right. And that's always wrong.
It was wrong, but guess what else was wrong? All the polls of 2022. And none of those pollsters are...
They were all wrong.
And you were wrong in 2022, Scott, because you said there was going to be a red wave.
I never said that. I never said
Twitter,
that.
do your thing. Run the clips. Because people said that there was going to be a red wave, and there wasn't. And so when you make predictions, which is what we get paid to do, is to read the tea leaves and determine, it is not something that should rise to the occasion of litigation.
You know what, Scott, how many campaigns have you done? I've done 100 million, and probably you have too, right? Every time you get a bad poll, are you supposed to sue the pollster now?
It's not about the poll. It's not about the poll. But look what happened. It came out from a person who has a lot of credibility. Virtually every single panel I was on for the last week of the campaign led with, well, look at this poll.
Oh, my God.
It's there. And so it wasn't the poll. It's the second, third, and fourth order narrative.
Listen.
The number, and it's just
speech. So what? So what?
It's free speech?
What about, Scott? I mean, what about free speech? I mean, I thought that this was the Republican Party of say what you want. Let's debate it in the public square. Like, let's have the conversation. Now it's let's only have the conversation if you're 100%. Prescient and correct in that moment. It was a bad poll. It was a wrong poll. The media discussed it. So what?
Do you know what I'm so tired of, Scott? The #1 cable news network, Fox News. The #1 paper by circulation, the Wall Street Journal. #3 paper by circulation, the New York Post. #1 person on the radio, Sean Hannity. The #1 person on the podcast, Joe Rogan. All of these people are Trump supporters. What media are you talking about that's anti-Trump?
You're not familiar with the anti-Trump media?
You're not familiar with the fact that you guys control for everything
of
from
all
podcasts?
the things I've heard you say out here, that might be the nuttiest.
Scott,
I mean, believe me, there's plenty of anti-Trump media.
She's trying to pay you.
I'm trying to pay conservatives. What I'm basically trying to say is that you guys have taken over the airwaves. You guys have taken over the radio airwaves. You guys have taken over podcasts. You guys have taken over pretty much, and now you're sitting here complaining because all you guys do is whine and complain. Your entire raison d'etre is have grievances. You don't actually think about leading. You just think about having grievances against the media.
I'd like
against
to add
anybody
a
who's
grievance
anti-Trump.
if I could.
Go ahead, at least. Because I can keep going here.
Just another grievance is that Republicans are frustrated. They feel as though the media has been out against them. Some of that is social media, some of that is influencers, some of that is just false narratives. And I think that this poll was just sort of the final straw, and people felt like it was somehow deliberate. That there was a deliberate attempt.
That's the word of the day, deliberate. What happens when it was deliberate? That's the whole point that Donald Trump...
The craziest part of that whole panel, that's Michael Cohen. What is that clown doing on that panel? What was Bozo the clown not available? Was Ronald McDonald busy? Michael Cohen, the disgraced criminal creep, the guy that turned on Trump. Scott went on to say, look, and this is my question for you. I don't want to burden you with all that crap. But let me ask you about Trump suing these media outlets. Because what they're leaving out of all of these debates is that he sued ABC and he won. They gave him $16 million. They cried uncle. And Scott went on to say that he's got absolutely no problem with him continuing to sue 60 Minutes of CBS, the Des Moines Register, and all of these media outlets that lied about him.
Republicans are cheering on this muscular attitude from Trump and pushing back against some of this is because Republicans feel like constantly media organizations, especially in the throes of campaigns, work overtime to create false narratives that may shape the contours of the election. Look what happened. When this poll came out in Iowa, the entire English-speaking world was talking about the gold standard pollster, and Harris has this momentum, and ultimately what we were told was complete garbage. And if you talked to pollsters at the time, they would have told you, this is not real, this methodology is not good anymore. But that's not what people chose to run with because it fit what most people in the press wanted the narrative to be. So he's pushing back on that. I don't, frankly, have a problem with it. And if they capitulate, it's because they don't want to go through the discovery and what that might show.
All right, so let me ask you that question. Do you have a problem with Trump suing media outlets? Take away your support for him for just a moment. I want you to try to be as objective as you possibly can. Give me a call and tell me how you feel about Trump suing CBS, ABC, NBC, New York Times. Hey, line them all up. If they're going to lie about him and then admit that they lied about him, which is essentially what ABC did in giving him the $15 million, isn't he onto something? Or do you think it's a waste of time and you think it's a distraction and not necessary? Let me turn to the smartest audience in America, the Mike Gallagher Show audience. 1-800-655-MIKE. Welcome aboard. It's Wednesday, December the 18th. We are 1 week from Christmas, and so glad you could join us on this busy breaking news episode in the Relief Factor studios. Give me your take on this. I'm just curious. Let's take a quick sampling of voices from around America. You like the idea of Trump suing the media outlets, or is it a mistake? 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. Join us. We decided to take a couple of days, a little extra days to our vacation. So Joey Hudson's going to fill in tomorrow, Friday, and then next week, Christmas week, and then we'll be back right after New Year's. So this is our last time together before the holidays. So let's make it count. A lot of people are requesting my Denise's preacher cookie recipe. Everybody loves her preacher cookies. It's become a holiday tradition for a lot of Mike Gallagher a lot of the members of the Mike Gallagher audience, which is fun for me. It's a bakeless cookie. Denise got the recipe from her mom, who got it from her mom, and way back in the day, West Virginia. It's a bakeless cookie. You don't cook it. You don't bake it. Even I can pull it off. Chocolate and oats and sugar and goes right to the arteries, and is it good. It is not PhD approved. That's for sure. But that's okay, because when you're on PhD weight loss, you know what to do. And you can splurge a little bit, you keep track, and then you get right back on the horse again. If you want the recipe for Denise's preacher cookies, as well as a picture of my Denise. A lot of people ask what she looked like. I think about her, of course, a lot over the holidays, as I know many people who've lost a loved one do, and she's always in my heart. So just text the keyword Denise to 800-655-MIKE, which is the MyPillow text line. We'll send you back the famous preacher cookie recipe, and you should do that every Christmas time. It's become a real holiday tradition for our family over the years, and the kids and I will be eating some preacher cookies. Hope you will too. So if you want the recipe, just text Denise to our text line, brought to you by MyPillow, which is 800-655-6453. We'll send you back the link, as well as a picture of Denise. One of my favorite pictures of her, I think that was outside Yankee Stadium, actually, in New York City, because she had a big smile on her face, and I can almost hear that infectious laugh that she always had. So we'll send you back the recipe and her picture, or you can just go to MikeOnline.com to get the recipe. All right, let's dive in and see if you think it's a good idea or a bad idea for Trump to continue to sue media outlets. Let's start in Naples, Florida, where Edward is standing by. Hey, Edward, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
How are you?
I think the answer is if the law of libel permits it, yes. I mean, I think that's just the proper use of rights, and obviously the legacy media many of us have issues with, and they should be accountable for misreporting. Can I add one other thing?
Sure.
It's personal.
Sure.
I used to know the president at college. Our names alphabetically are S and T, so I sat next to him in a class. And because of that, I got a lot of interviews, unsolicited, with the mainstream media. And I have to tell you, I was totally impressed with the preliminary to screen interviews. What didn't matter what network. Some of them were really well-known national correspondents, and at that level, I have absolutely no issue with the national press. But what happens between there and what the outlet delivers to the audience, I don't understand.
Well, I'm not sure. ABC had nothing to do with the local affiliate. That was George Stephanopoulos and the ABC network, and he lied repeatedly and claimed that a jury had adjudicated him as a rapist, and that was a lie. He was not adjudicated for rape. He was not found to have raped E. Jean Carroll, and incidentally, they've put her on notice. They're going to make sure she doesn't get one dime of the gazillion-dollar payment that he's supposedly been ordered to pay her, and then they're going to sue her for coming up with this bogus. I mean, there was stuff about her lawsuit. For example, reportedly, she posed on the cover of New York Magazine with the dress that she was allegedly wearing when he supposedly groped her or assaulted her, whatever word you want to use, and that dress wasn't even made at that time, and that wasn't allowed to be introduced as evidence. That was one of the legal arguments. We'll see how all that plays out. Look, to me, it's simple. You don't get sued for an opinion. You don't like Trump? That's fine. You can't lie about him. You can't tell lies. You can't say he colluded with the Russians to overturn the election. There's a litany of lies that the media needs to be held accountable for. This is Florida Day. Holy cow. Look at all the calls from Florida. I swear, I think it's the phone system. I keep telling Eric that. Look at that. Frank in St. Augustine, George in Sarasota, Rosemary somewhere in Florida. That's bizarre. So, and we got all our callers. Oh, there's somebody from Yuma, Arizona. Let's go to Sarasota. George, Merry Christmas. How are you?
Merry Christmas, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. What do you think about Trump suing the media outlets? Good idea?
Sue the pants off of all of them. Anybody who had a bad thing to say about him, sue them.
What?
They would do the same thing to him if he did it. So let's not get even. Let's get ahead.
Let's get ahead, right? Don't get even. Get ahead. Don't get mad. Get even. Now, I'm not sure he should be suing everybody who said a bad thing about him, because he'd be spending a lot of time in court.